there is more love somewhere. Sometimes we sing it gently, almost as if coaxing that truth out of hiding. And maybe that's what resurrection really is, not a miracle with trumpets, but a quiet, persistent insistence that there is still love, still hope, still life. It's not always easy to believe that, especially in times like these, when, as mentioned earlier, in recent days and weeks, we've been surrounded by headlines that may take our breath away. Mass shootings that leave families and school campuses shattered, children like Lori Page killed by those meant to protect her. Political violence aimed at the most vulnerable among us, unlawful deportations and kidnappings like Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez, federal layoffs with little warning or care, and a campaign of intentional miseducation, erasing the stories, identities, and struggles of equity and inclusion of entire communities. And in the midst of all of this, I found myself remembering an old Easter sermon I heard from a colleague at a UU Church in Peoria, Illinois. They described the crucifixion of Jesus not simply as execution, but as a type of suffocation. They said that over time, the body on the cross could no longer hold itself upright, and lungs no longer able to expand, and the breath of life was slowly taken. This colleague of mine reminded me that the crucifixion wasn't just a death sentence, it was an act of obliteration, a political weapon of empire meant to shame and erase a person's very existence, as if to say, you don't matter and you will not be remembered. That perspective of crucifixion stayed with me because today, we are still witnessing modern-day crucifixions, systems designed to erase, suppress, suffocate. We may no longer hang people on crosses, but we still strip people of breath. We still break bodies with injustice. We still tell entire communities that you do not belong. And so for me, resurrection in this moment is not just about a man who walked out of a tomb. It is about the refusal to let the dealers of death win. It is about the continued faith in life, a continued fight for the sacred right to exist, to breathe, to love, to build, to belong. This is the story of Easter in this moment, the renewal of the breath of life in all its forms, and the fierce faith that beloved community is still possible here on this earth, in this life, in relationship with one another and with the earth. This morning, our voices rose to the music of this kind of faith, singing, I believe we can say the words that need to be said. I believe we can be the voice for the voiceless. I believe in a world of hurt, we can be peace. These words just aren't lyrics, they are resurrection in motion. Not the kind that needs proof or doctrine, but the kind that happens when we show up for each other. When we choose hope over despair, love over fear, connection over isolation. This is Easter. At its core, a story of rising up victoriously, of love bringing us back to life. I opened worship with words from Reverend Peggy Clark that said, gather up your worries, we're going to bury them beneath the soil and watch them transform flowers of hope. And that's what we do in community. We take what hurts, what seems like the end, and together we tend to it. We water it, and somehow life grows again. That's resurrection. That's community. And so today, it's also the story of this congregation, a story of seemingly miraculous healing and transformation. As many of you know, this congregation, 71 years strong, is preparing for another kind of transformation, a transition into a lay-led model of ministry, and that's a really big change. Big changes can feel like loss before they feel like new life. That's why this Easter morning, our Glow Sunday series invites us to lean into 2 guideposts from a book that we've been following, Growing a Beloved Community by Tom Owen Tolley. He invites us to look back, around, and ahead and spread our good news. These lessons remind us that our story didn't start here and it doesn't end here. And in the spirit of renewal and transformation, we too are always becoming. And in that becoming, we are invited to remember that we too can rise and radiate faith in our journey of growing beloved community. In looking back, I grow aware that every tradition that honors the energy of renewal and resurrection first tells the truth about suffering. If a community tells you that it has no problems and is perfect, I pray that y'all run from that place. Every church is a microcosm of the society it lives within, and here in our local city of Tallahassee, we have our very specific challenges and sufferings and tragic deaths. And we know that there could be no Easter without the sad Good Friday. There's no miracle without the need for it, no rising up after the grief that came before. And so looking back means acknowledging the challenges that we've overcome, that you've overcome in your individual lives. It's looking back at those moments when we thought that this congregation might falter and not reach its needs, but it didn't falter. It's looking back and noticing the heartbreaks we carried over losses and the healing that followed. Looking back and remembering the people who shaped this place, some who we remember by name and others whose quiet labor sustained us in silence. It means remembering deep connection and also moments of conflict, rupture, and relearning. And still, we of this church kept going. Tom Owen reminds us that, quote, healthy congregations honor their past, living vibrantly in the present and radiating hope towards the future. So looking back isn't about nostalgia, it's about honoring the soil from which we grow, the deep roots of resilience that say we've gone through hard things before and we can make it through together. This church, your church, has grown through change before, and still again and again we rise. And so now, in this moment right now, this very sacred moment, I invite you to look around this room. See that some of us are new. Some have been here for decades. Some are tuning in from afar. And here's what's true in this moment. There are people here who are searching for belonging. There are children here who are growing up knowing that their worth is not up for debate right now. There are elders here in this community who keep showing up week after week, holding the circle in spite of health challenges and other things that try to keep them back. Y'all show up. You are the now of this congregation, and resurrection isn't just something that happened long ago. It's also happening now in the small, everyday ways that we care for each other. Someone gets a sense of renewal when we welcome them by name. Someone gets a sense of renewal when we listen to their story without rushing to fix it. Someone feels a sense of renewal when they get the opportunity to dare to speak truth, and then, perhaps, if they were wrong, are forgiven and allowed to show up again and again. As Reverend Julia Hamilton shared in the prayer, the sun rises and calls her children into bloom, even if grieving, even if weary, even if not knowing what comes next. All of that is the story of resurrection, and all of that is holy. Tom Owen Tolley challenges us to not simply plan for the renewal of our future, but to radiate hope towards it. And that's what we're doing right now, envisioning how lay leaders will rise and thrive in our plans for new ministries, in reimagining church in ways that are inclusive and sustainable, in trusting that the next chapter will be written by courageous hearts, knowing that looking ahead doesn't always mean having the answers. It means making space for the right questions. How do we embody the radical welcome in a divided world? What practices sustain us, and what will we hand over to the next generation? What is coming alive? And once we know what has been reborn and what is coming alive, how do we spread it? How do we share that good news? I know that evangelism might not be our favorite word, but sharing what gives us life, that's something we should all be able and willing to do. Tom Owen Tolley reframes it beautifully, saying, quote, "We are called to be evangelists of the Spirit, not by coercion, but by attraction. Sharing our good news through lives of integrity, compassion, and joy brings people in and offers them renewal." So, what is our good news? I hope that we know that it is you here know that you are loved. I'm looking at you, Jennifer. That you here are worthy, and I'm looking at all of you, especially you. That you know that you don't have to believe alike to feel a sense of belonging. That justice and joy are truly for everyone. It should be a thing that we want to share, knowing that here in this community, you're not alone, because we're never meant to be. You don't have to preach to share that. You can just live it, or say something simple like, "This is the place that helped me to breathe again," as Phoenix shared from the pulpit that led for more people to come. That's the kind of testimonies that we can share, that this community helped me rise. Beloveds, this is our Easter morning service, that we are a people rising, that we are a church still unfolding, and we are a movement of radiant hearts, looking back with gratitude and looking around with love, looking ahead with a bold hope, knowing that even though you may have come in feeling broken down, like the lyrics of a song we're about to hear by Audra Day, hoping that you will leave this space knowing that you too will rise up, rise like the day, and rise up, rise unafraid. Rise up knowing that the promise of this day and this community is that you don't have to rise alone. So I close by saying, rise up, radiant ones. Rise with your whole heart. Rise with the memory and music and messy, beautiful dreams. Rise into the beloved community we are building together. And may the breath of life renew you. May the spirit of hope sustain you. And may we grow and glow with courage and love and joy. Amen, Ashe, and may it be so. Thank you.